Hi, I'm Maria Theohara Sorvello Sews on social media. Welcome back to Sew Organised Style Podcast. Stay listening.
Sew Organised Style Podcast acknowledges traditional owners of country throughout Australia. We pay our respects to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander cultures and to the elders past, present and emerging.
Thanks for joining us today on Sew Organised Style. Sewing is an ongoing skill that we work on with each project. Sewing lingerie, such as bras, can really throw you off your game sometimes. But today's guests, Emma and Sue, have a solution that you might be interested in. It's called the Great Bra Sewing Bee. Thank you, Emma and Sue, for coming on to Sew Organised Style Podcast.
Well, thanks so much for having us.
Thank you for having us.
For listeners who haven't discovered you now, I'll direct this to you, Sue. Tell us who you are and how people can find you online.
I'm Sue Folts, and I own Bra Builders, which is an online bra sewing, fabrics, and materials store. And you can find me on Instagram and on Facebook and on the web at brabuilders.com.
Great. And Emma, tell us about you.
Yes, the Great Bra Sewing Bee was created by Bra Builders back in winter of 2020. And you can find us as a online community that brings together sewists from around the world who are either starting their lingerie sewing journey or have been doing it for a really long time. And we all come together and we offer over 70 classes for people in different stages of their journey. We offer a really wonderful Facebook community for the time of our event. And it's like a virtual sewing conference. So if you've ever been into an in-person sewing conference, we've really tried to mimic that virtually as best as we can. And you can find us also on Facebook and Instagram or at www.greatbrasewingbee.com.
I know that when I saw the Great Bra Sewing Bee last year, it was mind-blowing to me. And I'm really pleased that you're able to run it again this year.
Well, we're hoping to run it on an ongoing basis. So make it an annual event.
And Emma, what sort of feedback did you get from last year's bee?
We got overwhelmingly positive feedback, just people saying that it was their favorite sewing event they'd ever attended, that it totally revolutionized their bra sewing journey, that it gave them the skills to get over whatever hump they were at. It just gave them totally new energy. It gave them community in a way that was really real, even in a time of COVID and in a time of lockdown and just being really far apart from each other. People found our community just really real and life-giving and such a joy to be a part of. So we were so pleased with that. We did get a little bit of feedback that there was just a lot of information and it was really overwhelming, especially for beginners. So we were able to address that this year by creating a special day for beginners called the Beginner Bee. And this is content that you'll be able to digest within a day. None of it overlaps. You're not kind of constantly switching between pre-recorded classes and live classes. And if you're feeling just a little bit overwhelmed by getting it in a day, every purchase comes with access through the 8th at a minimum. So you'll have at least 4 days to kind of digest it. So if you're a beginner, that's a great entry point and you can start there as an on-ramp to our event. That was a piece of feedback that we found really helpful and we're able to find a really good solution for this year.
That's really good to know that you've listened to the people who were at the bee and have now finessed it so that it really is targeted to the people who want this information. Sue, is it hard to sew a bra?
No, it's not actually hard to sew a bra at all. If you can sew a 1/4-inch seam, and if you can sew a curved seam, then you can sew a bra. That's really all it is some of the seams are quite curvy and in a small, relatively small area, but it is completely easy to sew a bra. The thing that the Great Bra Sewing Bee adds to your basic sewing skills, like what exactly you need for sewing skills, is your fitting skills. Because as hard as you think it is to fit a pattern for a dress or a shirt, it is actually even more important to properly fit your bra, because it's such a fitted garment. And the good news about the Great Bra Sewing Bee is that we have all these where you see actual custom bra makers fitting, what is it, Emma, about 20 different women of all different shapes and sizes with different fitting issues. And you can see how they do it specifically. And you can also book a one-on-one session with some of our amazing custom bra makers to help you get that perfect fit.
I get a lot of comments from sewers who have sewn for quite a long time who have that issue around fit. They can sew a bra, but they can't get it fitted properly.
Yes.
So that's really good that you're offering that service.
Yeah, when I first thought about the bee, I was so not sure what classes we should think about. And I talked with mom, and she just knew right off the bat. She's like, okay, we just need to have really high quality content when it comes to fit. And so right from the very beginning, that's something we've prioritized.
Emma, talk to us about bra patterns.
What I love about bra patterns is while there definitely are some from your big name pattern places. So my personal favorite bra pattern is Madeline's pattern that she did with Simplicity. There are also some really cool, like smaller individual designers who create patterns. Some of the more popular ones are Emerald Erin. She does a pattern called the Black Beauty bra that's incredibly popular. And we just have a whole array of pattern designers participating in the bee, and you'll be able to ask questions directly to the designers. I also know that one of your podcast guests coming up, who actually connected us with you, Jenny, is also delving into bra pattern making, and she's doing it in a really highly technical, really cool way. So it's neat to just see the different methods also of bra pattern making and how you can really find one that fits your unique needs.
And just for listeners, so that you know, Jenny actually is a Melbourne local. And that's the other exciting thing about when she's actually on the podcast, and that'll be in August. Thanks for bringing that up, Emma. It's really nice to see such an array of instructors from across the world at the Great Bra Sewing Bee. Sue, are there special bra making fabrics and supplies?
Yes, there are. You can't typically get fabrics that will be adequate for your bra making at the large retail chain because they're trying to get the majority of sewists, so like tops and pants and things like that. Bra making materials are very specialized, so they need a certain amount of stretch, and not too little and not too much, and it has to have plush to it. Some fabrics need to stretch and some need to be very stable, and they can't ravel, and they have to stand up to a lot of washing. Finding those right bra fabrics and materials can be tricky, and except we have now Google, so you can just go out there and Google it and find lots of really wonderful retailers who are able to serve your needs, and they're all around the world. Actually, one of our classes at the Great Bra Sewing Bee is actually acquiring bra materials, a worldwide panel. And so that will give people from all around the world some access to who are some of those retailers out there where they can get their materials. The people who are going to be doing the class, none of them own shops.
Okay.
One of the things we've tried to do really clearly for the Great Bra Sewing Bee is disconnect the commercial portion of it from the education portion of it. If someone can have a platform to say, look at my great shop, everybody gets the same platform. And when we recommend things, we try to recommend things all the way across the board.
Okay. So Emma, who sews their own bras?
This is such a fun question because it really surprised me when I started getting involved with the Great Bra Sewing Bee, the diversity of the community that we were serving. One of my more interesting people who I was helping was actually the director of a theater at a university who was a costumer and needed to sew bras for very specific costumes. They attended the Great Bra Sewing Bee as a way to learn more for their costume shop. Then, of course, there's the 80% of women who can't get a bra that fits them in the store. They come from all around the world and are able to, whether they have an issue with having a large frame and a small cup, so that ratio is something that the ready-to-wear industry doesn't address well, they will often come. If they have a really small frame and a really large cup, that's another ratio that the ready-to-wear industry doesn't address well. And so we've got a lot of women with that issue. We've got my personal bra fitting issue that made me really excited when my mom started sewing custom bras was that my straps fall down all day long. I'm just pulling my straps up. That's something that I've really enjoyed having fixed with custom bra making. And I think the other one that I hear a lot is people who never really realized that the band of your bra is supposed to support the cups, and the straps only serve to kind of hold the cups up. They don't actually support your breasts. There's a lot of women whose bras kind of hang from their shoulders. And so they just are really in pain at the end of the day and just finding such difficult postural things because of the undergarments that they're wearing. And so that's an issue that can also really often drive people into starting to investigate custom bras.
One other thing just to talk about is the style element. There are people who can walk into the store and get whatever they want from the store, but they have a specific thing in mind. They want a certain color or a certain kind of lace or a certain look that they cannot find in the store. And so even if you have an easy time finding a bra that fits in the store, it might make you feel dowdy. It might make you feel unattractive. And so you can make things that are really darling no matter what size it is that you're trying to fit.
So if I could continue on with that thought, when you've done custom bras, the panel is going to talk about supplies and fabrics. Will they also include discussion about fabrics and laces that are not going to cause people any irritation?
We do have some, I can't remember the exact class that this is in, but we have a class that's talking about working with materials when you have a lot of neurological issues like allergies and things like that. One of my customers, she contacted me the first time and she had shingles right around where her bra goes, and everything she was able to find was really painful. Mm-hmm. And so we created a whole set of materials for her to be able to get a bra that worked for her, that didn't give her pain.
That really rounds it off for people who are thinking about taking the step to make a bra, whether it's for themselves or whether it's for someone else who is having pain with ready-to-wear bras. So thank you for that answer.
You're welcome.
Sue, how do you get started on the bra making journey?
I homeschooled Emma when she was younger, actually all the way through high school. And as she was getting ready to go off to college, I said, well, golly, now I'm the age I am, and I've been out of the workforce for 20 years. So I didn't think I would be very marketable with respect to people wanting to hire me. So I said, well, I could go and be a custom bra maker, because I took a craftsy class and I said, look at this. I know how to sew. You don't have to, by the way. I know how to sew, but I can't really make a living with sewing because everything takes so much money for fabric and so much time to make. It makes the economics of it just not practical when you can go down to some shop and buy something really inexpensively. So I said, well, I could do that. And I started that journey to learning things about that. And the gal I was learning from, Monica, who has Bravo Bella bras, she's amazing, by the way. She'll be at the conference. But anyway, she says, well, I just wish somebody would want to run a fabric store. And so that's how I got started, actually, was with the fabrics, because I was trying to go and be a custom bra maker, because bras don't take a lot of fabrics and materials, and they don't take a lot of time to sew. So it's kind of that little niche where it makes more sense, actually, financially and fit and looks and everything, to make a bra, whereas you kind of want to do homemade clothing as almost a special thing, because it takes a lot of money for your fabric and a lot of time in order to construct your garment.
And Emma, have you sewn your own bras?
Well, I will say I haven't sewn a bra yet, but I've been getting into sewing underwear. So that's where I started. And if someone's looking for a way to kind of get familiar with the fabrics and the patterns and a place to start, sewing underwear was a really approachable place to start. I learned very quickly, though, that you should not do it using cotton thread, because I sewed my first pair and the cotton thread in the zigzag just stretched and broke, and I was so sad. It's just a really fun place to get started with sewing underwears. If someone's kind of overwhelmed by the idea of sewing a bra, we're going to have several underwear sew-alongs or panties or knickers, depending on where you're from in the world, at the Great Bra Sewing Bees. That was actually what I used to get started.
And how did you feel, Sue, when Emma started sewing underwear?
I thought it was amazing. Of course. You can make them however you want.
We've talked a little bit about what is on offer with the Great Bra Sewing Bee. Tell me about what the Great Bra Sewing Bee offers if you've sewn lingerie before. So if it's for people who have already sewn lingerie, what can they get out of the Great Bra Sewing Bee?
We've divided our classes into several sections. We've already talked about fit. If you've already sewn lingerie before, but you're really struggling to get it to fit you properly, or you're trying to learn to fit it for maybe someone else who has really different fitting issues to you, that's a great place to get plugged in. Another thing we have is specialty. That's kind of another category of class. And so if you've sewn bras before, but you're wanting to branch out into other types of lingerie, we have a class on a garter belt. We have several classes on swimsuits. That's specialty category is a whole collection of classes that will kind of help you spread your skills further. We also have technique, and that is some really amazing professionals teaching you how to take your technique either to the next level or teaching you a technique you may not have learned before. One I'm really excited for is Jenny's Couture Techniques for Bra Making class. I've gotten to collaborate with her a little bit as she's been creating that. If someone's been sewing for a long time, they've been sewing lingerie for a bit, and they just want to merge their techniques of couture sewing, which as my mom is a longtime sewist, I know how much joy it just gives her to like know that, you know, a seam is finished with a French seam. It just matters. And kind of how to translate that into bra sewing. That class is what you can find in our techniques section. And then finally, we have an inspiration section. That is just to get you all charged up to really capture that feeling that people were getting last year of being so ready to move on in their bra making journey, ready to just like spend all day, every day on it because it's so fun. And so probably our most superstar class in there is that we're having a lingerie trends panel where lots of experts in lingerie trends, including Cora Harrington of the Lingerie Addict, who is a really huge name for us this year. And we're super excited to be working with her. And it's a panel of several people, including Liz from Liz Sews, Cora, Maddie, Madeline Intimate, Erin, Emerald Erin, and Masha Titova of Titov Label. That's just going to be an incredible panel. And I'm really excited to get inspired by them. So if you've been sewing lingerie for a long time, but you want to branch out into something different, those inspiration classes might get you over a dead spot or something like that. And then if that just sounds like a lot to take in at once, we also offer extended access to access everything for a year. And so you can watch it anytime. And it's actually really affordable to get the conference plus the extended access. It's only $209 US, which averages out to like $1 to $3 per class.
Another thing that we have for people who have been sewing lingerie for a long time is we do have a couple of gals who worked in the lingerie industry for years and years and years. And we're very excited about having them come in and start to talk to us. So we're hoping that they'll become kind of a regular feature, but they are experts. And they're doing some things like large cup fittings and asymmetrical issues and things like that. So having people like that you can ask questions to, I think is going to be very exciting, even if you've been sewing bras and lingerie for a very long time.
And the tidbit about those teachers that got me excited is they actually designed a patent for Playtex, which was just like such a huge accomplishment that I was like, wait, you're kidding. These people are joining us for the Great Bra Sewing Bee. So I'm really excited about them as well.
I'm actually getting excited by the fact that you've got so many technical experts in bra making. Do you think that the experts might also be able to give people advice for sewers who not only are asymmetrical, but may have had mastectomies?
Yes, we do have a mastectomy class.
The mastectomy class that we're offering at the Great Bra Sewing Bee is going to be taught by Linda Crawford from Uplift Custom Bras. And I was able to sit in on the version of the class that she did last year. There'll be some new information this year. But what's really exciting about it is she not only walks through the way she does it as a custom bra maker who has done this for several individuals who have been struggling with a mastectomy, but she walks you through exactly how to create a breast form yourself and a couple methods to do that. And as I talked with a friend of mine who's had breast cancer and had a mastectomy and worked through that, creating a breast form yourself is actually incredibly affordable compared to what you'd be paying from a traditional breast form place. I think that the class that Linda's offering is going to support that issue really, really well.
And I will tell you that it is our plan that every single year there will be at least one class on mastectomy issues, because we think that that's just a super important thing to always support women with.
It's a great way to support the community and the whole community. There's a lot of people who are into recycling and dyeing fabrics. So, Sue, is there a class that covers any of this sort of topic in the Great Bra Sewing Bee?
Well, as a matter of fact, I'm going to be teaching a class on dyeing your bra fabrics and materials. As long as your fabrics and materials are nylon, they take the dye beautifully. And so I'll be showing you exactly how to do that. You can actually even get a kit of all the materials that you'll need. So all of the different gloves and tongs and all that sort of thing, so that you can go ahead and get started on that. I am super excited about that class because you might find a special lace you like somewhere, not necessarily at a place that's already coordinated it into a kit. And then you can create your very own color to make that bra just exactly the way you want it to be.
You know, the Great Bra Sewing Bee is one of those events that I think you'd have to go to at least once. Can you give us the details of when it happens? We haven't talked about that.
The Great Bra Sewing Bee happens August 4th through 8th this year, 2021. So it'll always kind of happen during the summer. If you're listening to this podcast, considering it for a different year, towards the end of July or beginning of August. But this year, it's August 4th through 8th. That beginner bee we mentioned is only $29 to participate. And to just attend the live conference is what we're calling it. So that's 4 days like we had last year of tons of classes, half pre-recorded, half live, more than you can fit in that period of time, which means that you can curate what you'd like to spend your time watching. That's only $49. We've got several different packages, but it can be really an affordable event to attend and attend virtually. You can come to our website, which is greatbrasewingbee.com, or you can look at our social media, and we always have some link to something on our website in our bio there. So we are at Great Bra Sewing Bee.
So have any final thoughts that you'd like to leave our listeners with about taking up the challenge to sew their own bras?
Well, the one thing I think everybody needs to know is that this is something you can do. I just got some pictures from one gal in particular, and she sent me pictures of her bras, and she started sewing bras last year at the Great Bra Sewing Bee. And she says now her entire underwear drawer is full of me-made garments, and they're so beautiful. And she did all of that just in the time from last year's Great Bra Sewing Bee to now. So it is very approachable, and it makes sense financially. It makes sense because it's cheaper to make it than it is to buy it. And you can get that look, that style that you're looking for. So I think that of all of the things there are to sew, you wear a bra every single day. You wear a pair of panties every single day. And it's wonderful to feel so very pretty underneath. So you ought to take it up.
I agree. Emma and Sue, thank you for coming on to Sew Organised Style podcast to tell us about the Great Bra Sewing Bee. I know that this year is going to be such a really good event to go to. You know, you've catered for everybody. You've listened to people who were there last year. So I think it's worth going to.
Well, thank you. We would love to see some of your listeners there.
Indeed.
Thanks again, Emma and Sue, and have a lovely day, listeners. This episode of Sew Organised Style podcast was produced by me, Maria Theoharis, with permission of Emma and Sue of the Great Bra Sewing Bee. Sound by bensound.com. You can subscribe to Sew Organised Style podcast spelled with an S, not a Z, on all good podcast apps. Make sure you give us a 5-star rating and review. Make sure that you listen to over 240 free podcasts that we've now published. Post any questions or suggestions you have on our Instagram account at Sew Organised Style or on our website at www.seworganisedstylepodcast.com or on our Facebook page. We look forward to joining you in your sewing room next time. Stay safe, everyone.